What's up? Good afternoon. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure the audio is good. A couple things today. Make sure you hit like on the way in. We're going to be talking about Megan Boswell. I'm going to give a little bit of the backstory, a little bit, and we're going to watch one old news clip to kind of go over the charges. I believe there's 19 charges. Then we're going to watch two interviews where you can see her giving contradicting statements. It's kind of interesting. And this is especially for the people that have never heard of this story. And a couple of things. And then we're going to watch the hearing today. I'll explain what happened or what the hearing was about before we watch that as well. So yeah, what's up? Welcome. Thank you for stopping by. Let me get the screen here. So Megan Boswell, she reported her daughter missing in February of 2020, but said she had not been seen since December 2019. Her daughter's name is Evelyn. I believe she was 15 months at the time. And so February 2020, she reported her daughter missing, or it might have been the father, I thought I heard. But it says here in this article, WVLT, she reported her daughter missing, but supposedly had not seen her since December of 2019. And then in March 2020, the remains of Evelyn were found buried beneath a shed on the family member's property. People that have been following my channel, you might remember this from way back then. And this woman pointed the finger at I think the child of the father's child, at a boyfriend, at her own mother, everywhere. And it all came down to actually being her. Okay. Let me play this little clip here. First, let's do this here. Boom. This is an old clip, but it's going to give you a little bit of an understanding of the charges and a little bit of the story, especially for the people that don't know about this. All right.
A Sullivan County grand jury indicted Megan Boswell
The interviews to me are like almost Chris Watts types of interviews.
on 19 counts Tuesday. The first two, felony murder of her baby Evelyn. The presentment lists the first murder charge is due to aggravated child abuse, and the second is connected to aggravated child neglect. No further details were released on those counts. The indictment documents show a count of aggravated child abuse, accusing Megan Boswell of intentionally inflicting serious bodily harm on baby Evelyn. The fourth count listed was aggravated child neglect, indicating that Megan Boswell neglected baby Evelyn, resulting in serious injury. The grand jury charged her with one count of tampering with evidence. Boswell was also...
Bieber, what's up? Welcome. I actually didn't even know this. I completely forgot this was happening today, and I saw your notification earlier. And I'm like, oh, snap, let's just do this. Let's talk about this. So thank you for covering that.
Also charged with 12 counts of false reports. She reportedly lied to investigators, saying the baby was with Evelyn's father, Ethan Perry. She told Sullivan County Sheriff's deputies that she did not know where her baby was, and investigators found that she lied about her attempts to find the toddler. She also lied about the last time she saw her baby and about the fact that her baby was possibly injured. She also made a false statement concerning the alleged time frame of when she gave Evelyn to Ethan Perry to keep, since she could not handle her daughter anymore, and his alleged threats to take her to court to address custody issues. 5 counts against Megan Boswell list her lying about her mother, Angela Boswell's involvement in the case. Megan Boswell also falsely reported that she thought the baby's cause of death resulted from either her or her boyfriend, Hunter Wood, rolling
all over the place. Anybody remember this case back then? I remember when I was covering it, I was a lot smaller back then, but it was kind of a mess.
Over onto the baby while sleeping, and that she did not know the location of the child's body. Boswell was also charged with abusing the corpse of her toddler. And finally, count 19 charges Boswell with not reporting the death of baby Evelyn. All 19 counts that Megan Boswell faces are felony charges, and she's set to return to court on August 20.
So that was just a nice little kind of recap. They might talk about that in the hearing that we're going to watch. I wanted to play, there's 2 interviews, okay? that I wanted to play. So this one here this was on the night of February 21st. You just looking at my screen here. Several hours after Megan spoke with WCYB, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation announced that the vehicle that was wanted in connection. So this is the night of February 21st. So, and she reported her daughter missing February 2020.
Just want to tell you about like her favorite things and personality wise. I know like looking on TV and just kind of seeing a picture, it's a lot harder to, you know, envision a baby. Like her favorite food is like sweet potatoes. She's really sweet. She loves to give people kisses. Favorite song is Baby Shark. Just like that kind of stuff.
Can you tell me, what's her favorite toy?
She has a little Baby Shark puppet.
What would y'all do together?
Well, she loved to take baths. That was her favorite thing. And she had little shark toys that swim in the bath and stuff.
Maureen says the grandfather reported Megan missing. Okay, thank you. That's what I thought too. This article says, Boswell, so maybe that is the grandfather. No, it says reported her daughter missing. But I heard the same thing you're saying, that it was the grandfather that reported her missing.
Like that.
How old is she now?
She's 15 months today, actually.
Oh, wow. Can you tell me a little bit, like, so you said she's very sweet. Is she sweet with everybody, or just
She
you?
is. She loves everybody.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit about like how you're feeling? Do you miss her? Are you worried?
Of course I miss her, and like I can't tell anything about the ongoing investigation, but I'm sure you all have released an article about the car and stuff like that, so they have a pretty good idea of who has her. I mean, if they're watching, I just want them to bring her back.
Is there anything you'd like to say to them if they're watching?
I just want her back. Yeah, that's my child.
I'm sorry. I know this must be hard. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about her? Do you have any pictures of her? Have you been looking?
Not on me, no.
Not on you. Have you been looking at photos and stuff of her while you're? How are you coping with all of this?
I just want her back.
Just back. If you could tell her anything now, what would you say to her?
I love her and I miss her, and that I'll be with her as soon as I can get to her any way I can.
Is there anything that you can tell us about?
That's it, confirmed. Yeah, it was the grandfather. Okay, thank you.
Like,
It's Tennessee. Yep.
what kind of baby she is? I know you said that it's hard to see.
She's a happy baby. She hardly ever cries. She wants to wave and talk to everybody. She walks funny. She doesn't know how to pick her feet up, so she kind of wobbles.
Is she talkative?
She is.
What,
She giggles a lot. You'll smile at her, she'll just start giggling. She's very happy.
Mm-hmm. And so you said she is talkative. Is full sentences? Like, what milestones has she met? Like, is she a smart little girl?
She is. She hit every milestone early. She can almost say I love you. She's not fully got to sentences yet, but she does say a lot of words.
You must be so proud of her.
I am. When Baby Shark plays, she tries to like dance with them and sing it.
You said that's her favorite song. Do you do the puppet with her a lot? Mm-hmm. And I know all of this is very hard. Can you tell me, like, how you're feeling?
I just want her back. That's all I want.
Are you feeling worried or anything along those lines?
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that at all?
Well, the reason I didn't report it or anything is because I knew the person who had her, and I didn't want them to run away with her. And as soon as they thought anything was going on, they just kind of vanished.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just worried about, like where they're at, what they're doing with her at this point in time.
So you do know who has her? You do.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? You do know who has her.
Can you tell us who that is, or you don't?
I can't release anything further about that. I'm sure they will at the press conference, but further than that, I can't say anything.
Mm-hmm. And so you do know who has her. Are you worried about her safety?
Well, now I am, because they won't answer phone calls. They've just kind of disappeared.
Mm-hmm. What is it like to? I'm assuming that you trusted this person. How has this trust been broken? What's been going on with that?
It has definitely been broken after this.
Have you spoken to her father at all during this process? Are you having any support
Mm-hmm.
from him?
No.
Yes, Cheeky, that's right. I found a video. I'm going to play that for you guys too. So for the people that don't know about the whole pregnancy lying and the polygraph situation, I made a video back then, which I'm going to play for you guys. You guys can be filled in on that.
Or from your family?
Yeah, my grandma's very supportive. She always is.
That's good. But you haven't spoken to him at all.
Mm-mm.
When was the last time you saw her?
In December.
In December. Okay. And what was that last day like? Was it a good day? I think it was about around Christmas, right? Can you tell me about that?
It was a good day. She had a little pink bow in her hair and a little Puma tracksuit on. It was hot pink.
And what, like, I know that you're hoping that she'll be returned shortly. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the person or people that have her that you think they should hear from you?
They should just bring her back. They always say, know, like, what's going on, and, like, you know, they need to bring her back home.
Mm-hmm. And you said that you trusted this person. So when did you realize that trust might have been broken?
Well, when they just kind of took off and wouldn't answer anybody.
Around when was that?
Whenever this whole thing started.
Okay, all right. And can you tell me a little bit more about, like, how you're feeling? I know all of this is scary and everything. Can you tell
It
me
is.
about
I just want her back.
that? Mm-hmm.
That's all I can think about. Is just getting her back.
Is there anything the community can do to help you?
No. Other than look for her. I know they released the car information and the tag number and stuff like that. Just any leads at all, they need to, like, call us so we can go check them out. Try to find her.
Has anyone, like, have you gotten any information from the community that's been helpful, or you just kind of in this?
I don't really know. They've all been looking at leads and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are working their butts off.
Has the police department and everything, the sheriff's office, been keeping you in the loop for this
They
whole
have
process? How's that been going? Has that been good,
been.
positive?
It is good.
Good. And I know that you said that you're getting a lot of support from your family. Are they, like, helping you going to courts and meetings and stuff with you? I know you've had a lot of...
Yeah, they didn't know I had court today. Or I'm sure my grandma would have been there.
Did you keep...
I'm gonna play you a little clip too in a second about that whole, I don't know what that is, that huffing or that laughing type of thing. Maybe it's a nervous tick.
from them, or...
I'm gonna show you.
I mean, I've just not really talked
for those that haven't
to
seen
them
it.
that much today, to be honest. And like I said, stuff was going on, like, while we were sitting in the courtroom, and I couldn't, well, not while, but, like, you know, waiting to go to court, and, like, I just couldn't tell her exactly what was going on.
Mm-hmm. So you said, like, obviously you can't share anything about the case, so you haven't been sharing with, like, your family or anything either?
No.
How's that, not being able to confide in anyone?
I mean, the police officers are very nice, especially, like, Sergeant Matt Price and stuff like that. I can talk to him or, like, them, and they've been, like, really helpful this whole time. They really have been.
Mm-hmm. And anything else
I think I even thought I heard a gulp. Like,
that you think that people should know about Evelyn, about, like, what makes her so special?
She's just a very sweet baby. She's got, you know, the little dimples on her face.
Do you think she looks like you?
No, she definitely looks like her dad, but she does have my eyes.
That's good. You have very pretty eyes.
Thank you. She's the cutest baby ever. So you'll know it's her when you see her. She loves everybody. She tries to kiss everybody on the cheek. She tries to wave to everybody. She's very friendly. She's very friendly and sweet. So,
when hopefully you're reunited with her, what will be the first thing that you do?
just hug her. I mean, I know it sounds weird, but, like, I miss how she smells and, like, her laugh and, like, everything. I just want to hold her.
So I know that this must be, like, you're missing your baby, and then there's been trust broken, right, as well. Are you worried about her safety?
I mean, in a way, yes, just because we can't find, you know, the car or nothing like that. But they have exhausted almost every option, you know what I'm saying? They're working around the clock. They have a whole room of people up there, like, dedicated just finding her, and I appreciate that.
Do you think that they are going to find her?
I do. I have full confidence.
You do? Okay. Are you feeling hopeful?
I am.
Can you tell me about that?
keep in mind, this is the woman that killed Evelyn, the baby. She was 15 months old at the time, according to one of the articles that I saw.
Like, what keeps you going? What's giving you hope? And
The team up there is just honestly really good. They're all really good, and I can, like, confidently say that, you know, like, when I'm not up here, I know that they're doing their best to find her. I'm not worried that when I'm not up here, they're not, like, you know, just sitting around and twiddling their thumbs. I know that they are trying genuinely.
Right. Do you have any regrets about not involving police sooner? I know that.
Well, Sort of, but also in a way, I knew that as soon as anything went down, you know, the person was going to just disappear, and they have, and they've tried to find them. They are going to find them, and I know that they'll bring her back to me.
You feel fully confident in that. That's good. But if you could do this all over again, is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I probably called the first day. I should have.
First day.
But I just didn't want them to run with her, like they have now.
Did you ever expect them to run with her?
I knew that if anything really happened and anybody got involved, that they probably would.
Can you tell me why she was with them if you were worried about this?
They were watching her for me while I went to work.
Okay. So it was like a babysitting type childcare situation?
Yeah.
But you thought they might run with her?
No, until they took her, no. Then after that, I was like, well, if anything happens, I'm worried they will run with her. And to be honest with you, I won't lie, I didn't know how good the team was up here, and if I did, I would have called the second that I realized. They are very good, like I said. They are doing everything they can, and I'm very confident in that. And that makes the situation a lot easier.
And so...
And as far as what that said and the other person was saying, it says it was Evelyn's grandfather who contacted the State Department of Children's Services on February 18, 2020, saying that he had not laid eyes on the baby since Thanksgiving. So that was probably what kind of started that whole thing. Also, when she was found hidden in her grandfather's shed, accompanied by her toys, clothing, and diapers. Okay. Mandy Morrow, thank you for the super chat. Have family in Bristol, so I've been following since day one. Crazy, my niece is 3 months older than she was. I wonder how precious Evelyn would be today. Thank you. Leave it to Bieber. Thank you for being a member for so long, 23 months. Appreciate that. Did you see where they said where the remains were? It used to be a playhouse Megan's dad built for her as a child. No, I didn't know that. Damn.
You said that... When did you realize that they had completely disappeared?
Like I said, I can't release anything like specific. I'm sure they will at the press conference, but...
So, anything else you'd like to add? Anything that you want to tell me about Evelyn?
Her favorite food is sweet potatoes. She's allergic to carrots.
She's allergic to carrots? What else does she like?
She loves those little applesauce pouches.
Yeah?
She's very smart. Like, even she quit her own sippy cup at 6 months old. Or not a sippy cup, but she quit a bottle.
That's true, Amber. I remember that too. Reporters said they heard him crying loudly when they found her at his shed. Oh, it's said in court. Okay, so we're gonna see that soon. We haven't watched that yet. Yeah, there's a lot of bits and pieces of this case that I forgot. So if you guys remember, put it in the chat. That'd be good. I might bring on that set too in a little bit if she wants to say anything or just if she finds anything.
I'm sorry. I went straight to a sippy cup, and like I would leave her snacks on the floor, like in the little containers, and she'd open them up herself and like get one at a time. Like she's just a very smart, very good baby, and I just want her back.
You just must be so proud of her.
I am.
Is there anything that you would like to say to her?
That I love her and that I will find her. She'll be back as soon as humanly possible.
Anything else you think people should know?
No, not at this moment.
Okay. So before we watch the next interview, I want to take you to this clip that I did a while back. This will kind of take us down memory lane. And I'm trying to give a little bit of details and context for the people that have just heard of this story for the first time. I see you looking, Andrews. Thank you so much for the members, the membership chat, being a member for 10 months. Gracias. Hey, Mel, I rock with you. Good job on the weight loss. Keep up at it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. So check out this video I did.
Every time we talk to her, her story changes. And I'm serious when I say that, every single time.
She giggled. Jackie, did she giggle? She did. I heard.
This is one of the edited versions that trust me, this took a while just to chop up the thing, the nervous, whatever that is.
Is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I probably called the first day.
Boswell admits she'd do things differently if given a second chance.
Give a second chance over my cold, dead body, Mommy. And this hand is going to be clutching your neck over my cold, dead body.
I'm going to play that gaff video I don't know when I should do it, before or after the hearing. I feel like we need to see that video though. I also compared Chris Watts and her to, like, did some interview comparisons that I thought were kind of interesting. With Crime Online, and I have a bunch of messages, might not be able to get through all of it to show you guys. Christy Broom, her daughter Maddie, was best friends with Megan, and she was 17 when she passed away in 2018. A couple of notes from Crime Online before we get into the interesting screenshots. Christy let Megan stay there for a couple of days. She felt bad. She noticed that Megan didn't have emotions, didn't have these things here in the background have nothing to do with anything. I was just doing that, I don't know, or whatever. Just listen to what I'm saying. Tears wasn't interested in finding her child. What's pretty crazy is that Christy stated Megan was afraid of being arrested, that even at one point she stated at least 5 times that she feels like she's going to be arrested. And when Christy questioned her, why would you say that? According to her and crimeonline.com, she replied, "I just feel my mom would hurt Evelyn and put her on my dad's property." And one of the biggest details, or what the headlines are running with, is that Megan wet the bed the day or night that the father's property was searched. Now, keep in mind, we're not talking about when the remains were found. We're talking about previously, because there was multiple times that the property was searched. I'm not sure if it was more than 2. By the time the remains were found, Megan was already under arrest for giving multiple false statements that interfered with the investigation. Now let's get on to the messages and screenshots. This is Christy to Maggie, which is Megan. "You're on your way back to the police station, now in safe hands. I will just say, from the 2 days I have spent with you, that you have done nothing but lie to me. And I'm the one person that had your back. And I don't understand why you absolutely know more where Evelyn is. If you want any kind of future at all, I've told you then, you need to tell what's really going on and not change your story unless it involves the truth. By the way, you're not pregnant. You've been to the doctor. There were no prenatal prescriptions, vitamins." For those of you that were following back then, you remember, I guess she was trying to say she was pregnant. Okay. For them to confiscate while all this stuff is going on. TBI, I mean, your story isn't adding up, and for 2 days I've not been able to comment on here. I've had your back. I still have your back. I've known you since you were in kindergarten. You were best friends with my daughter Maddie. You've lied to the point investigators don't even want to talk to you anymore. That needs to scream something to you. Your future is on the line if you're innocent. I don't think you hurt Evelyn. I just think you know what happened afterwards. You need to tell them where she's at. I know you know. Let's pause for a minute and talk about the whole pregnancy debacle that was happening at the time, where she was stating that she couldn't get a polygraph test because she was pregnant.
I am pregnant. That's why they won't give me a polygraph. Due to policy, if you're pregnant, they cannot give you one.
It seems like what actually happened, and I could be wrong, but according to Christy here, Megan actually had a lie detector test set up on schedule for Monday morning with a TBI agent. She says she knows because she was there, but she canceled on them. In here you can see Maggie asserting that they did take her prenatal vitamins, and she's not going to argue with Christy. But I haven't lied. But Megan, you have lied, because the sheriff's office in Sullivan County doesn't even have a polygraph test. This is just another lie. And this is the literal page from the Sullivan County calling out her BS. On I think this was Facebook, or somebody messaged them, or whatever. This is a DM or something. We do not use polygraph, nor do we have one at the sheriff's office. This is just another lie of many that Megan has told. I mean, this woman all over the place lying. Lie of many that Megan has told.
He was never asked to meet us for any polygraph. We don't actually have a polygraph examiner. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation does the polygraphing. We never set up any type of interview for her.
Oh, yeah. And there's also that minor detail that she was never pregnant.
But News 5 checked Sullivan County jail records. On Monday, there were only 4 pregnant inmates. On Tuesday, when Megan was booked into jail, that number didn't change.
Now let's get back to Christy. And this is probably why they went and searched the property again. It says, "Yeah, I saw that, but Megan, was so scared and worried. I think it was Sunday when they were supposed to be searching her dad's property. She was relieved when the search was over and nothing came up. Obviously, because that meant Evelyn was maybe still okay. But there was more to it than that. With her, meaning Megan, she also made the comment to me about how, thank God, they didn't dig on my dad's property. And that's where she was found, right? I did inform TBI immediately when that was said. So they're also investigating and they know what they're doing. And God only knows where this poor baby is. It also seems that Megan and Angela had issues or turmoil between each other. Angela is Megan's mother. Christy said one of the people that she pinned Evelyn's disappearance and murder on to try to, lie about it. As I don't think so. I spent 3 days with Megan. She was arrested the day she left because I couldn't handle all her lies. I think either Megan snapped or her mom hurt her. But seriously though, who the hell was Megan protecting? Her mother has always been a POS. And from what I witnessed, not a good mom to Megan at all. All right, I'm going to stop that there so we can kind of keep it moving. But let me, so let's look at the other interview. Let me see how do I get out of here. The other interview. This is a good one to watch too.
So I'm very thankful.
She's still doing the same thing right here too with the laugh thing. Let me switch up the screen.
Sweet. She loves everybody. She's never been mean ever. So I'm very thankful for her. She's just a really good-hearted baby in general. Like textbook how you want a baby to be, like has hit every milestone early, you know what I mean? Well, when she was 6 months old, she actually put a bottle on her own and went straight to a sippy cup. She started walking probably around like 10 months. That was kind of hard though because she's like not like small as in like underfed, you know what I'm saying, but like she was a preemie when she was born. She's like a smaller baby and she kind of had trouble like balancing her weight, but she finally got the hold of it. She's starting to say a lot of words and
Tell me what kind of things she likes to do. What kind of is she into any certain TV shows?
Only Baby Shark. We went to Texas to see her dad, Ethan, and she.
This is kind of looks like it's chopped up too. This is the longest version I was able to find, but even this one looks a little trimmed.
Up the whole way there. Like I had to make her wake up to eat and stuff like that, and that's like a 24-hour drive there.
So let's get into the last time you saw her. Tell me what that time was like and when that was.
Well, actually, I want to talk about that. I've told TBI where to find her in Mendota. My mom took her to a campground and a silver camper, and if they don't go tonight, I'm going to go find her myself. Because I've told them, and they're not really, like, taking it seriously, and if they don't go tonight, like, I will go myself and go get her.
Tell me about the last time, though, that you saw Evelyn. Tell me what you guys did and when that was.
We went to go out to eat, and then my mom came and got her. She was wearing a little hot pink tracksuit with the matching bow and little matching shoes.
And was this December 20, like right after Christmas?
A little bit before Christmas. My mom, like you can ask her, is a very vindictive, manipulating person, and she basically like threatened me the whole time that she was gone.
Do you know who has Evelyn right now?
She dropped her off somewhere in Mendota at a silver camper. But my mom would always say the person, not like people, plural.
So there is a person that has her in Mendota.
They're not taking me seriously, TBI isn't, because I've not fully told them. I've been like, hey, like my mom camped out at Mendota, you want to go check them out, but I've never been like specifically, hey, she's in like a silver camper, because my mom did threaten me, like, if I told anybody. I'm not going to get into that, but she did.
So your mom has had Evelyn the whole time? Or the whole time?
Or the person that is in Mendota has had her the whole
She said the mom, she's like saying yes to the mom had her, and then the reporter, she's just messing up this whole thing. Not the reporter, Megan is. She made it which is a lie, saying it's the mother, but then she's trying to say, oh, I'm not going to say who it is or something.
Tell me why you let your mom take care of her. Did she take her from you that night? And
Well, she was just supposed to babysit her because I was going to work.
And then when did you know that something was wrong?
Well, whenever, like, she picked me up Wednesday, and I told her, like, hey, they're doing a press release about the Ambler thing, and then she freaked out, and that's why they couldn't find her. Like, nobody talked to her for days until they arrested her. She just kind of, poof, gone. But she kept trying to take me to Mendota, and I kept asking, I was like, are you taking me to Evelyn? And she would never tell me yes or no. And I was like, well, if you're not, I'm just calling somebody from the police station to come and get me, like, I'm not playing these games with you.
And so tell me, the day that you dropped her off with your mom to let her babysit, was there anything off about your mom that day? Did you have any suspicion that she was going to take your child?
No. Well, I called her, and she was just like, oh, she's safe, like, that kind of thing. And then she started threatening me, which, like I said, I'm not going to get into, like, everything she threatened me with, because I'm just not, but...
Obviously now that you believe you know who has her, what do you have to say to them?
To just bring her back.
Look in the camera.
I just want her
I don't know who that is in the background. Look in the camera. Hey, look in the camera before you cry. Hey.
back.
Maybe it could be the news people too. Like, we got to get the money shot. I don't know who that is in the background.
To just bring her back.
Look in the camera.
I just want her back. That's all I want. I've been so long without her, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't you report it missing earlier? Because my mom threatened me, and I just want her back. That's all I can think about is how much I just want her back.
Talk to me about when you had the indication that she was missing and something was seriously wrong.
Just when she left and took off and just didn't answer her phone.
Talk to me about why your dad made that report.
Because he was talking to my mom the night before, and he was like, oh, well, if she doesn't come home, I'm going to call. And she was going on, well, you're going to regret this. Like, I'm going to have to leave and never be able to come back. You will regret this.
Was there a reason that, that you didn't make the call and it was your dad?
Because Mom kept threatening me if I made the call.
You said that you've had some issues with your mom in the past. Was there a reason you decided to let her babysit her that night? I know that, you said that you had...
Well,
some
she's
issues.
my mom. I wanted to trust her.
Sheriff Cassidy told the media on Friday, I was there, that you were giving conflicting statements.
Because I wouldn't necessarily... I was trying to protect my mom, maybe in hopes, oh, well, she'd just tell them where Evelyn was, but obviously she's not going to.
So now you're coming out and you're saying this is the honest truth, that you know where she is.
I know she has to be in a campground in Mendota with somebody. And Mom told me that they had a silver camper, and that's all she would tell me.
Are you cooperating as much as you can with TBI and the Sullivan County Sheriff's Department?
I am.
But just tell me, how so are you, constantly on the phone with them, talking about the tips, anything like that?
Yeah, and I've looked into stuff online myself, like, people are, like, circulating pictures around me, like, oh, this is Evelyn, you know what I'm saying, and, like, that kind of thing. But no. And, like, Saturday, nobody would answer me, and I blew all their phones up. And every chance they've let me be up there, I have been up there.
And Wednesday will be a week since the Amber Alert went out. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
I just don't know if the person who has her is, like, maybe scared that they're going to get in trouble. But they won't. They just bring her back.
Crazy.
What are you thinking about her current status right now? Do you think she is okay? Do you think she's being taken care of? And what is your message to authorities right now? To the TBI, Sullivan County, and all of the sheriff's departments and any authority that's working on this case?
Just that if they don't take it seriously, what I just said, I will go find her myself. They've told me before they'll arrest me for tampering with evidence, and I told them on my phone, I was like, I don't care if you arrest me for tampering with evidence. If you go up there, I'm going to tonight.
Do you have a message to the
Stole a
public?
child.
Don't stop until she's back. They need to start reporting, like, psychics, for one, like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Because that just wastes the TBI's time, and they could be...
Ooh, so Megan here, the liar of all liars, talking about psychics and what they need to do and all this stuff.
actually trying to find my daughter. Instead, people are like, oh, well, this lady did tarot card reading, like, you know what I mean?
Damn, even she's calling the liar of all, the queen of lies. Has issues with the readings, too.
I feel like that just takes away from the time of, like, them actually searching for my daughter. I'm just happy that people are coming together to try to find her. Because the main important thing right now is the baby. I'm just happy that people are trying to find her.
Have you been in contact with her father, Ethan?
Yeah. He's actually trying to get leave approved right now to come up here and try to, help find her.
What is her relationship like with him?
She's only been around him a couple times because when he was in the Army.
And what is your relationship like with him? Do you keep in contact with him?
Well, yeah, we have a kid together. You know what I mean?
Did you notify him when you knew something was wrong? Why do you have multiple social media profiles is one that we've been getting a lot.
Because I break phones a lot, and I forget the password. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm really bad about remembering passwords. Now I have them all set to one, but, up until that point, I just couldn't remember the password to them. So I'll just make a new one when I got a new phone.
Tell me why you wanted to come out today and speak with us.
Just to talk about Evelyn, and, if TBI doesn't go find her tonight, I'm hell-bent on going myself. And that's the truth, one way or another.
This is a really big case, and a lot of people have a lot of questions surrounding this. Is there any other message that you want to send to anyone?
Well, if you don't have tips for sure, because over 370 some tips have been called in and they've just not panned out. Like, I appreciate people trying to help, but like, also that's wasting like TBI's time.
Now she's going off on the people leaving tips. The liar, the murderer, right, is talking about you guys are wasting time with these tips. You guys are wasting TBI's time.
They have to check out every single lead that's called in.
You know, obviously it's been a long time since you've seen her. Are you worried about that, about reuniting with her?
No, because I love her. I know she loves me.
And do you think she's been taken care of well in the time that you've...
I'm going to run a poll in the meantime, guys. I want to know what you want next. Do you want the Chris and Megan video that I made? It's not long, but it's kind of interesting to see just kind of back to back those two people and their little ticks and stuff. It's pretty short. Or do you want to do the court hearing next? We're going to do both still, but what do you want to see first? The court hearing's an hour. The Chris and Megan's a little bit shorter, like 7 minutes or something. I think it's even less, actually. I'm going to run a poll.
Missed with her.
I hope she has been.
Tell me what the first things you want to do with her.
I'm just going to hug her and not let her go.
Wow.
Like, they'll have to pry her from my arms.
Oh, yeah?
Literally, because I'm just not going to let her go. Probably going to say make a shark to her. And just hug her and not let her go. My favorite thing is the first time she kissed me, Lord, I cried for over a week because she would pull my hair and I would just let her do it, you know, because I love her. Like, I didn't want to make her cry or be upset in any way. And she would pull chunks of my hair out. And she was in her walker one night and, like, she dropped her sippy cup and I bent down to pick it up. And I thought, oh, she's going to pull my hair. She put my face close to her and she kissed my cheek and I just, like, cried about it for over a week because I was like, oh, my God, I'm the first person that she's kissed, you know what I'm saying? Just, like, little stuff like that. I love her to death and I would hate to have missed out on anything. Especially because of my mom.
And obviously, you know, you told me you talked to your mom a couple of times throughout this. And each time, did she give you any update on Evelyn?
She just told me that she was safe.
So when was the last time you talked to your mom? Like physically, just the two of you on the phone, or?
Wednesday, the 19th.
Tell me any details about that conversation.
I mean, she was just going off on me and wanting to go to Mendota. And I kept telling her, I was like, if Evelyn's in Mendota, just take me to her. I will take her up there. We can just end this right now. Like, let's make this simple. Just give me my child back right now before this gets blown out of proportion. And she would never be like, oh, yeah, I'm taking you. She'd just be like, you don't need to talk to them. I don't want you going up there, and, like, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, if you're not going to take
irony that this pops up here. Post following in Chris Watts.
me to her, pull over, and I will have, like, somebody on Sullivan County's end come get me to go up there and talk to them.
What is your biggest fear right now?
I have a lot of them. Just that I don't know, that maybe they won't find her tonight, or, you know, maybe they don't find her tomorrow. Maybe it's weeks from now before they find her. You know, the people aren't going to be like, oh, well, like, I'm not giving her back because I kept her for 2 months. This is my child now. Well, still, I'm just worried that they're going to be angry about that. You know what I mean?
No. Right.
She just needs to come home.
Exactly.
She's been away from her mom for long enough.
So, I know there are a ton of social media rumors. So if there's anything that you wanted to set straight that I'm not aware of, I will. This is
Gypsies are not a cult. They've been asking people if there's like a gypsy ringleader and like.
Oh, I remember that there was a whole gypsy thing going on. I think at that time, or rumors or whatever. And she over here joking and laughing and stuff.
I mean, like, we're not like ringleaders. We're not like out here kidnapping babies or anything like that.
So would you describe your family as a gypsy family?
Well, yeah. And, like, my dad's very proud of that, you know, but he's just mad about all the rumors going around, like, trashing them because, like, we're not a cult, you know what I mean?
And now that your mom is back here and are getting ready to be back here in Sullivan County, what do you hope comes out of that? Obviously, she and her, Will believes her boyfriend was arrested.
Well, I doubt she's going to tell the truth, but hopefully she does. For Evelyn's sake. Not even for her sake at this point. Just if she hears this, I hope you tell the truth for her sake. Like, that is your grandbaby. It's went on long enough.
Now don't pay attention to the Kia support team member or Mr. Whitey. We're paying attention to Mr. Man.
Sorry about that. All right. So, yeah, let me see where the votes are at for that. I was trying to find something else. I don't know if the cause of death was ever really released. This is a cause of death for Evelyn has not been disclosed. Her autopsy determined her death was a homicide. but let me see. I don't know if, but this is an old article. I thought the other video said blunt force trauma, but I don't remember. We'll see if we can find it. Maybe DatSec can try to search it up while we do this. Now, as far as the poll, let me see where we're at on the poll. What we're gonna do first. Okay, court hearing barely wins, 52%. All right, I guess let's do the court hearing, and then what I can do is timestamp it for the people rewatching. I'll still do both. You know, I'll play the Chris Watts one after. Okay, court hearing wins, so we'll do this. It was never put out, right? Oh, the gas station channel? Yeah, that is kind of a dope channel. I've seen some of those videos before. They said autopsy was sealed. Okay. Oh, it's going to come out in the trial. So for people wondering too about the dates and stuff, Boswell's next court appearance is set for June 24th. There's also a hearing scheduled for July 28th, according to WBIR.com. But then the full trial is set to start September 26th. All right. So there's like 2 other court appearances so far that she'll be making at least. We don't know. Who knows if they'll add more before the September 26th official full trial. And so this trial here too, basically what this is for, just a quick little breakdown of what this was. So Megan Boswell, the Sullivan County woman accused of killing her 15-month-old daughter, Evelyn Boswell, appeared in court for a motions hearing Thursday. 2 major items discussed were the questionnaire that will be presented to the jury pool for the upcoming trial and a motion to split Boswell charges into 2 separate charges. They're trying to split her charges. Something about that, they think that the jury wouldn't be able to differentiate. Let me skip to where that. Oh, they're talking about, I don't know, moving the trial. The results of the questionnaire will factor into the court's decision on the motion to move the trial out of Sullivan County. Sproles has previously stated that due to the widespread public opinion on the case in the county, finding an unbiased jury may require a change of venue. So that's part of what's going to come up as well. They also talk about the court then took up the motion for the severance of charges in 2 trials. Sproles said he wanted to separate the first 4 charges Boswell faces, including 2 felony murder charges, from the others. Sproles told Goodwin that there was a concern that the jury would not be able to properly examine and make a determination on all charges, referencing all 12 of her counts of false reports. The other thing too, which I haven't even listened to this, but this guy, he's a TBI special agent. We're going to watch him. That's upcoming as well. And he's going to provide testimony in the case that gives his insight into the false reporting charges and incidents that stem from. Gratz previously provided evidence in the case to the grand jury, which resulted in Boswell's charges. So that's what we're going to watch now. I put it up here. Let me see to yeah. But that sent the article as well that confirms basically the autopsy records are sealed. I think the mother had some other unrelated charges. Yeah, like the mother has a history. The mother's boyfriend as well. I thought that the mother's boyfriend had some stuff too, or I don't even remember. I'm talking about Angela, Megan's mother. Yeah. Walking. The gypsies took over the channel. Yeah, this is the hearing from today. I did a nice little recap beforehand.
Stand, please. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. This honorable criminal court's now open. Pursuant to adjournment, the Honorable Judge James Dillon presiding over the 2nd Judicial District. Please be seated.
The first case we'll pick up today is C versus Megan
Bump the volume.
S72869.
That's what I was wondering about that
Easiest
autopsy.
thing to pick up first would be the proposed jury questionnaires.
Your Honor, I think we have proposed a jury questionnaire, and then we made some revisions that I think you originally proposed one. We had a few revisions that we tended to, and I think Mr. Sproul is probably in agreement with our final version of the questionnaire. Is that correct?
Yeah. The one that I approved is after the changes, correct? Correct. And yes, we're in agreement with that.
Your Honor, we would recommend that be approved, and the other request that we would have at the state would either not be disseminated other than to the lawyers this time, either if it's filed, be filed under seal, if not, there'd be an instruction not to disseminate it, because we don't want that to be previewed before we have a jury pick, because as you know, generally the court wants the jurors to be candid and to be under supervision of the court and sworn to at the time of conclusion. If it's disseminated, it will give the opportunity, maybe for potential jurors, to look at the form and formulate answers or have somebody assist them beforehand. So that would be our request.
For cases in the past, I don't know that it's actually been filed.
I don't think it has been. I just think in this case that we would just ask the court to request for counsel for the sides not to disseminate it.
Mr. Russell, so that he can make the copies when we get ready for the jury, for the trial.
We'll do that.
All right. Next up
is there a better audio version? I cranked up the volume, but yeah, the audio does sound poor to me as well. Let me just look up real quick, see if there's any better ones, so we don't have to go through this. This is weight 6 on your side. Okay, let's try this one real quick. A quick test.
Can certainly see where they're
Request for counsel for the sides not to disseminate it.
is that, and I'm not explaining that well. What I mean, Judge, is that it's a different.
That's kind of the same. Let me try see if there's anything else. Let me try one more. There's WVLT.
Especially the felony murder. Now, after that initial report, don't even look at the element. She's whether the evaluation report.
Oh, pretty poor. You guys hear it okay, or how's it look? Even CC isn't catching much. Impossible to understand the audio.
defendant's motion for severance.
Judge, on that, I've had the opportunity to review the state's response.
The audio when the agent comes on, I think, is better. But like this beforehand, because the agent's going to be like on a microphone. I don't know what these people are doing here.
Motion, and I think we're probably in agreement, Your Honor, that
okay,
the evaluation the court needs to do is essentially the same as a Rule 404B evaluation.
That was horrible, huh?
The first determination is
let up room noise.
whether that evidence is
part of a common scheme or plan. And both our motion and the response state the standards that the court is to look at in that that regard. And the state makes a compelling argument in their response. I'm not prepared to concede that position, but I can certainly see where their argument comes from. It appears to me, Your Honor, that the crux of this motion and the argument here where we disagree is whether the prejudicial effect of these additional charges outweighs its probative value. And what we have asked the court to do is sever counts 1 through 4 from all the remaining counts.
She got that mask on real tight too, huh?
And essentially to have 2 separate trials.
Yeah, please, if you guys could hit like, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Jingle, jingle, bitch.
Our position, Judge, is that to try all these together, especially the multiple counts of filing false report, essentially gives the jury the option in their processing to say, well, she's guilty of these crimes, the false reports, so therefore she must be guilty of the felony murder, the aggravated child abuse, and aggravated child neglect, without evaluating the elements of each of those offenses. And so we are asking the court to sever those counts. In the state's response, on page 5 of that, they make the statement that at their core, the false reports prove the murder. And I think that is the whole problem here, Judge. If the state wants to present evidence of the false reports during the murder trial, I don't think that's the issue. The issue is the fact that she's charged with the same crimes. I'm not explaining that well. What I mean, Judge, is that it's a different evaluation for the jury to say that she is convicted of, or she is charged with multiple counts of filing a false report. Therefore, she must be guilty of these other charges. That's different than saying that then the state presenting the evidence of those false reports in the charge of the felony murder case. And that, I think, is appropriate. I don't think I can argue that it's not. What I'm saying is that if the jury evaluates that and they determine that there is sufficient evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to prove the elements, then that's what it is. But it's not appropriate if they say she is guilty of filing a false report, don't even look at the elements of the other cases and convict her based on that. That's what we're trying to avoid by this motion, Your Honor, is to take that possibility away from the jury, that they can say, the state proved she's guilty of filing a false report, therefore she's got to be guilty of that case. And I think that, the state's response pretty much points that out, that is the situation. So that's why we're asking for a severance of those counts.
I think it's all related. Just like somebody else in the chat said, it's all related. Why separate it? It's part of the lies.
The state filed our response to Mr. Sproul's motion. I believe under the case law, the state is required with evidence for this court to.
Before you got too far into it.
Yes, so I'm not really going to respond to Mr. Sproul's arguments yet. I've stated at this point, I'd like to go ahead and put on evidence in regards to the severance of the court. So, so it's statement called Special Agent David Gratz.
So here's the special agent coming now.
Raise your right hand. State your name. David Gratz. Someone swear affirm testimony about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and the truth, sir? Awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You are Special Agent David Gratz, is that correct?
That's correct.
And who are you currently employed with?
The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
And what is your position or assignment there with the TBI?
I'm a special agent assigned to the Criminal Investigation Division.
And how long have you been with the TBI?
About 2.5 years.
What did you do before you joined the TBI?
I was an assistant district attorney for about 5 years.
And where were you at ABS?
In the 3rd Judicial District.
And how long did you do that?
About 5 years.
Agent Gratz, if we could, I want to go back to February of 2020. Were you called out to assist the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office on an investigation that involved a 15-month-old child by the name of Evelyn Boswell?
Yes, I was.
And at that time, the initial report that got everything started really wasn't a call to law enforcement. Initially, it was a call to the Department of Children's Services that was made on February the 18th. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And who was it that made that initial call?
It was actually the child's of Evelyn's paternal grandfather, Tommy Boswell, and also his mother, Mary Boswell.
All right. And let's kind of set the stage here a little bit by identifying some of the parties. You mentioned the biological grandfather who made the call. That was Tommy Boswell, correct?
Yes.
And what is his relation to the defendant, Megan Boswell?
That's her father.
Okay. And then the child, that is Evelyn Boswell, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was the, without getting into too many of the facts, what was the nature of that initial call to DCS?
It was essentially two-pronged. It was number one, they hadn't seen the child in quite some time. There was also sort of a rumor or a belief that the child may have a broken arm.
So, as you mentioned, there was a possibility of potential injury to the child. So the sheriff's office had gone along to assist DCS because of the possibility there might be some potential child abuse there. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. When the sheriff's office and DCS got there to investigate, was Evelyn present so that they could evaluate to see the child, see whether she had any injuries?
No.
What was the explanation, or I guess the story that was given by Megan Boswell at that time as to where her child was?
Megan stated the child Evelyn was with her father, who she stated was Ethan Perry.
And did she say where Mr. Perry was at that time?
She, if I remember correctly, she sort of speculated that he might have been in Louisiana, but he also might be living in Kingsport.
Were you all able to locate Mr. Perry?
Not at the time, no.
Through further investigation, did you find out where Mr. Perry was?
Yes.
Okay, and where was he?
He was active duty military stationed in Louisiana.
All right. And did you all make contact with the folks down in Louisiana?
Yes.
And was Mr. Perry, in fact, at that Army base in Louisiana?
Yes.
Was Evelyn there with him?
No.
So you all were able to pretty quickly prove that the information that Ms. Boswell had given you about the location of the child was not correct. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, after that initial report, over the next few days, did you, along with other investigators and officers, conduct a series of interviews with the defendant, Megan Boswell?
Yes.
All right. And what were the nature of those interviews? What were y'all talking about?
We were trying to locate Evelyn Boswell.
And after speaking with her, and you spoke with her on multiple occasions, would that be correct?
Yes.
All right. What did you determine about the information that Megan was giving you?
It was false.
And as a result of that, on February 25th of 2020, the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office charged Megan Boswell with one count of false report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that was for the information that she gave to them initially back on February the 18th of 2020. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Agent Kratz, if you could, I'm going to hand you a document and ask if you can identify it.
You guys are crazy. Chat.
Do you recognize what's been handed to you?
Yes.
What is it?
It's a certified copy of the general sessions warrant.
Okay. Was that the affidavit of complaint that was filed on February 25th, 2020, charging Megan Boswell with that one count of false report?
Yes.
Judge, we would move to make that exhibit 1 to this hearing.
No objection.
All right. Agent Gratz, at this time, there were no charges that had been placed regarding any sort of child abuse or murder. Is that right?
That's correct.
Because, in fact, at that point in time, on February 25th, you still didn't know where Evelyn was.
That's correct.
But your investigation did not end on February 25th.
No.
All right. In fact, there were, just tell the court, I mean, besides the TBI, what other agencies were investigating Megan's disappearance, or Evelyn's disappearance, sorry?
The initial investigating agencies would have been DCS and the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. Later in the evening on February the 18th, Special Agent Brian Pritchard was called in to assist Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. I was called in the next day to assist. And by the time I arrived, around noon, I believe, on the 19th, the Sheriff's Office, TBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, was also present.
And in addition, your investigation, you all were interviewing witnesses.
Yes.
Is that right? You all wrote search warrants for social media accounts.
Yes.
Is that right? You all, as part of your investigation, collected numerous cell phones, items of digital evidence that had to be reviewed, correct?
Yes.
All right. And what kind of volume are we talking about here? I mean, how much evidence were you all looking through?
If I remember closely, or excuse me, correctly, it was close to a terabyte of everything we collected.
All right. And your investigation continued up in time, and then on March the 6th, 2020, something happened, correct?
Yes.
And what was it that occurred on March the 6th?
We discovered the remains of Evelyn Boswell.
All right. And where were those located?
At Tommy Boswell's property on Muddy Creek Road.
And was that a location that you all, based on your investigation, were able to tie specifically to the defendant, Megan Boswell?
Absolutely. The property itself is where the defendant used to live.
Okay. And was there anything of significance about the exact location that the body was found?
Yes.
Okay. What was that?
We found the remains inside of a building that was referred to by the family as the Playhouse. It was out behind what I would call a storage building on the property. And this Playhouse was built by defendant Megan's grandfather as a play.
That's what Bieber was talking about. Just take back from
the property itself is where the defendant used to live.
And was there anything anything of significance about the exact location of the body was found?
Yes.
Okay, what was that?
We found the remains inside of a building that was referred to by the family as the Playhouse. It was out behind what I would call a storage building on the property. And this Playhouse was built by defendant Megan's grandfather as a playhouse for her when she was a child.
Now, after you all located the body, it was sent for an autopsy, is that right?
Yes.
Did you all collect other evidence there at the scene?
Yes.
And there, as a result of collecting that evidence, it was sent off to have forensic examination done. Is that right?
Yes.
Performing all that testing takes a pretty good period of time. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. And while all that was going on, you then presented to the grand jury a presentment charging Megan Boswell with 11 counts of false report. Is that right?
Yes.
And that was done on May the 20th of 2020.
Yes.
Is that right? And Agent Gratz, I'm going to hand you another document, ask if you can identify what's being handed to you.
Yeah, I wonder, because I thought that property was searched multiple times,
Yes.
wasn't it? Already?
Yes, it's a certified
Was she moved? Was she put there after?
copy of the presentment from May the 20th of 2020.
Could be wrong.
All right. Judge, at this time, we would make that exhibit 2 to this hearing.
Judge, we don't object, that's in the court file.
Agent Gratz, once I guess it was several months later, you got the final autopsy report. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you also received the results of the forensic testing that was done at the TBI lab.
Yes.
All right. And after that was completed, did you then represent this matter to the Sullivan County Grand Jury?
Yes.
And that was done on August the 19th of 2020. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And this time I'm going to hand you another document.
Yeah. So Tommy Boswell Sr., he's Evelyn's, the baby. That's the baby's grandfather, which is Megan's father. Megan's the mother. That would be her father. That would be the grandparent. So Evelyn, the baby, was found on her grandfather's property, which is Megan's dad.
Identify that.
The rocket.
Yes, it's the certified copy of the presentment from August 19th of 2020.
All right. Judge, I would move to make that exhibit number 3 to this hearing.
I thought they did search it too. That's what I was thinking. I'm trying to think till back then, Jimmy.
Agent Gratz, that superseding presentment, that is the presentment that charges 2 counts of felony murder, the aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, tampering with evidence, 12 counts of false report, abuse of a corpse, and failure to report a death under suspicious circumstances. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, based on your investigation, which by the time August rolls around, had been going on for several months, correct?
Correct.
Were you able to determine when the defendant had begun telling this false information about where the victim was located?
Yes.
And what did you determine about that?
Based on everything we've collected, the first, time we found the defendant told the story that Evelyn was with Ethan was during the first week of December of 2019.
And what sorts of things told you this? What was the evidence you were looking at that they gave you a clue she was.
Text messages, witness statements.
That's what I was thinking too. I think back then my thought was that she was moved thereafter. I don't know where she was before, like the body was, but.
And so this was happening back in December of 2019.
Yes.
Right? So this was several months before law enforcement ever even got involved.
That's correct.
That's correct. If we could, Agent Gratz, I'm gonna, could we pass exhibit number 3 back to him? What I'd like to do, if you could turn to count 6, which is the first false report count. What I'd like to do is kind of go through those and talk about the dates that they were made, who they were made to, and what the substance of that false report was. So we can kind of get that on the record. And we'll start with count 6. That was made on February the 18th of 2020. Statement made to Detective Tracy Perez with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. What was the false report related to that account?
It was when the defendant, Megan Boswell, claimed that Evelyn was with Ethan Perry.
So it was a false statement relating to who had custody of the child?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if we could, count 7, again, on February the 18th of 2020, a statement made to Detectives Michelle Gillum and Tracy Perez, both with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. What was the false statement related to that count?
I believe this was later in the day or evening on the 18th, and this was concerning the lack of knowledge of the whereabouts of Evelyn and the efforts that the defendant had taken to locate Evelyn.
Okay. So that would relate to false report of where the child was, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Count 8, again on February the 18th of 2020, false statement report to Steve Williams, detective with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. And what was the nature of that false report?
This was the statement where the defendant discussed Ethan Perry refusing to return text messages and voicemails regarding Evelyn.
Okay. So again, that's a false report regarding someone else having custody of Evelyn, correct?
Yes.
Count 9, another false report made on February the 18th of 2020 to Captain Joey Strickler with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. What was the nature of that report?
This was about the last physical contact she had with Evelyn and the lack of knowledge of the whereabouts of Evelyn.
Okay. So that one deals with more of the time frame when she last had contact with the child, correct?
Yes.
Count 10, a report made on February the 19th to agents with the FBI, Jeff Glenn and Todd Wilcox. What was the nature of that?
This was her discussing, her being Megan Boswell, the time frame in which she stated she gave Evelyn to Ethan Perry.
All right. Count 11, report made on February the 20th of 2020. Again, to Captain Strickler with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. What was the nature of that report?
This is when the defendant stated when she last saw Evelyn was with Ethan Perry on December the 26th of 2019, and she had not contacted law enforcement on the advice of her mother, Angela.
All right, so Angela Boswell.
And we just saw that in the interviews that we played at the beginning. If you guys have just joined now, there's a lot of information at the beginning of the stream that you should definitely check out. We watched 2 interviews and we went a little bit into the backstory. Miss Ladybug says here too, she was throwing everyone under the bus. Ethan, which is the father's child, her mother, her mother's boyfriend. So Evelyn threw her own mother under the bus, the mother's boyfriend under the bus, her own father under the bus, the babysitter under the bus, and Miss Ladybug says sounds like Don Wells. Another thing that I saw, somebody asked me if I was going to be covering this, like doing when the full trial starts. I don't know. I'd like to. It's really hard to say. The full trial starts in September 26th. June 24th is the next court appearance, and then there's another one in July 28th. There's a lot of space in between these. So I mean, I can barely. I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow, let alone September 26th. You know what I'm saying? But I would like to. I'd love that if we could. There's a lot of things coming up soon too. And real quick, I just want to say thank you to Francis Facile. Love what you do for the family. God bless you always. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Heather Shook. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for coming back, and I appreciate the super chat. Viloma Unstuck says, sent by Leave It to Bieber, who speaks highly of your channel. She's amazing. If you guys want to check her out, Leave It to Bieber. I'll put her link in the description. She forgot to include good-looking host. Love you, Bieber. She's a really good, kind-hearted person, and she's in Tennessee. Desiree, thank you for the super chat. I noticed that the guilty parents tend to tell anecdotes about their missing child. She reminds me of my feelings watching Summer Wells' Parents, which I never fully got into that, but I still kind of tune in and see what's going on. That's a pretty crazy story. A lot of people covering that. Anne-Marie, thank you so much for the super chat. Always enjoy you keeping me busy while working from home. Thank you. You're appreciated. And thank you so much for watching. I'll put Bieber's channel in the thing in a second here.
Clear on the record, that is Megan Boswell's mother, correct?
Yes.
So this report has to deal with two things. One, the time frame in which she claims she last saw the child, as well as implicating someone else in the disappearance and the fact that they could not locate the child, correct?
Yes.
Count 12, another report made on February the 20th of 2020, to you as well as Detective Matt Price with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. What was the nature of that false report?
This was when the defendant stated her mother, Angela Boswell.
Thank you, Bill.
Boswell.
And so again, she's implicated someone else in the disappearance of her child. Correct?
Yes.
Count 13, again on February the 20th of 2020, report made to yourself as well as Detective Matt Price. What was the nature of that report?
This is when she stated that her mother, Angela Boswell, had Evelyn since mid-December, and that Angela refused to tell the defendant her location, Evelyn's location, and she didn't call the police because she was afraid, the defendant was afraid that Angela would harm Evelyn.
So again, she's given false information about the time frame in which she last saw the child, as well as implicating someone else having custody.
Correct.
Count 14, again on February 20th of 2020, statement made to you as well as Detective Matt Price. What was the nature of that false report?
This is when the defendant said her mother, Angela, had taken Evelyn and wouldn't return Evelyn to the defendant because she owed her money and would not return Evelyn until the money was paid.
Count 15, statement made the next day on February the 21st of 2020. That statement being made to you as well as Detective Matt Price. What is the nature of that false report?
This was her discussing that, again, Angela had Evelyn at an unknown location, and the defendant had attempted to locate Evelyn, but she did not know where she was and didn't have any additional information.
And then the last two, count 16, false report made on February the 23rd of 2020. The statements being made to Agent Chris Wellhoy was a TBI. What was the nature of that false report?
This is when the defendant said that, again, Angela had Evelyn Boswell and had given Evelyn to an unknown or unnamed person, and that Evelyn was safe and would have a better life with this unknown person.
So this is yet another count where she is implicating someone else having custody of the child.
Yes.
And finally, count 17, false report made on February the 25th of 2020 to Detectives Jonathan Licklider, Robbie Clemens, as well as Agent Brian Fraley with the TBI. What was the nature of that false report?
This is when she did say she was aware that Evelyn was dead. However, she told the story that it resulted from either her or Hunter Wood rolling over the child while sleeping, but she did not know the location of Evelyn's body.
So this was her her attempt to explain, I guess, the fact that she was not responsible for the death of the child. Right?
Yes.
So these false reports kind of cover a number of topics. She implicates others in the disappearance. She gave you all false information about who had the child, about where the child was. Is that right?
Yes.
And then ultimately she blames someone else for the child's death. Is that right?
Yes.
You had mentioned earlier, in a number of these false reports relate to giving information about the child being with Ethan Perry. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you see evidence during your investigation of her telling this false report or false information to other individuals?
Yes.
And where did you see that?
Text messages or Facebook messages, as well as witness statements.
And who were the people that she was telling this to?
The first statement we located was to an individual named Haley Sparrow, I believe.
Was this a friend? Someone? A friend of Megan's?
I believe they were classmates in school.
Okay. Did she make this statement to any family members? Who?
Yes, it was the story she was telling to her family about why Evelyn was not present.
Okay. So the false information that she was telling you all in February, when you're doing this investigation, this was same false information that she'd been telling family and friends for several months, correct?
That's correct.
And again, this information that you're getting in the investigation, it's based upon your interviews with the defendant, Megan Boswell, right?
Yes.
So you're getting all of your information directly from her.
Yes.
And you mentioned this evidence that you all found on your review of the social media, the digital evidence. When did that begin? Were you able to figure out a time frame that she began to tell this false information to her friends?
Yes, around the first week of December 2019.
All right. And I know we've got a copy of the presented evidence. The offense date for when you believe that the child was murdered, that was early December of 2019, correct?
Yes.
So this would have been about the same time period that the child was killed. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that you reviewed the social media evidence. In going through this, she had family and friends that she was talking to somewhat regularly during this time period, right?
Yes.
Was there discussion, talk about Evelyn at that time?
There was.
And despite all that, no one, none of her family, none of her friends, made a report that Evelyn was missing or if they had concerns about her until that February 18th date. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. Do you know why that was?
I believe objectives we have the issue.
I'll start.
Rephrase.
Let me ask you this, Agent.
Thank you, Beaver.
After you reviewed this material, these text messages, social media posts, as well as the interviews that you conducted with various witnesses, did you reach a conclusion about how long the defendant had been telling this false information?
Yes, since around the first week of December.
Judge sleeping?
And again, that was
Close enough.
along the same lines as the time in which the child was last seen alive and believed the child was murdered.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. And as you kind of went through your investigation and learned that the information that she told you, as well as the information she was telling her family and friends, was not true, did you reach a conclusion about who was responsible for the child's death?
Yes.
And who was that?
The defendant, Megan Boswell.
Based on your training and experience as an investigator with TBI, did there appear to be common threads in regards to these false reports?
Yes.
What was that?
They seem to deflect attention or suspicion away from the defendant, Megan Boswell.
And again, all these false reports, all this information was coming from the defendant, Megan Boswell, correct?
Yes.
That's all the questions that I had at this time.
You, before you start, in the motion, the defense wants counts 1, 2, 3, 4, 7.
Correct.
From the house. Count 5 was ample evidence. Count 18 was abuse of course. You don't address those two separately.
Judge, I can interject. I mean, essentially our motion focuses on the false reports. The general is your.
So basically, the motion is before the court. The oral amendment, I would say, the motion before the court is that you're asking the counts 6 through 17 be separate.
Those are the counts we have a concern with, Judge. General is put on the proper.
Agent Graff, if you would answer the questions that Mr. Foles has for you.
Judge, I don't have any questions. Agent Graff's testimony is offered essentially a proffer so the court can make a determination on this. So we're not going to cross examine.
Any other proof?
No other proof in the state, Judge.
All right. Now,
Judges, as set forth in the response that was filed to the defendant's motion, there's a 3-part test that the state has to meet after the defense objects and moves to sever under Rule 14. The first part of that is to show that these offenses are part of a common scheme or plan. And the state would allege and assert that basically the plan in this case was 2-part. One was a plan by the defendant to prevent the discovery of the victim's body. And then secondly, to escape prosecution for the abuse and the murder of her child. You've heard evidence and testimony here today from Agent Gratz that the defendant began spreading this misinformation, began telling false reports to everyone, family, friends, anyone who would ask, about where Evelyn was at or near the time of when this murder was committed, which was back in December of 2019, which would have been 2.5 months before law enforcement was ever even involved. He was able to determine this through the witness interviews that they were conducting, the review of the social media accounts, the text messages, and it was clear to him what she was doing. And basically what she was doing was trying to deflect attention from the fact that her child was dead. And so she was telling family and friends, custody of the child is with Ethan Perry. My mom has her. My mom told me not to file these reports. And this information was consistent. The information she was telling them, same thing she was telling law enforcement. And she's doing this from December 2019 all the way up to and continuing to this time in February where law enforcement first gets involved. She was giving false information about who had the child, false information about the last time that she'd seen the child alive. She's blaming, implicating others in the disappearance of the child, and then ultimately, in the final false report, she implicates someone else in the death of the child. So all this evidence is inextricably intertwined together, and it clearly shows a plan on her part. That plan is to deflect attention away from herself, away from the fact that this child is missing and dead, and then ultimately it's an attempt to keep law enforcement from being able to charge her and eventually prosecute her. These acts are linked in time, they're linked in place, so we would argue that they are part of this common plan. I think an argument could also be made, Judge, that they're in some ways part of the same transaction. I don't think that's a strong argument, but I think in some ways this was really a continuing transaction that began when she murdered the child and continued up until the time that law enforcement got involved. The second prong of the finding the court has to make is that the evidence of these false reports is relevant and admissible in the trial of the remaining offenses. Now, case law shows that you can use this type of evidence to show motive, to show intent, to show guilty knowledge, and to show absence of mistake or accident. The fact that the defendant was repeatedly supplying false information to law enforcement when they are investigating the disappearance of her child is clearly relevant to show the defendant's state of mind at that time. It shows her guilty knowledge that goes all the way back from December through February regarding the murder of her child. And again, it goes to these efforts and the intent that she had, which was to divert law enforcement from ever discovering the body in the first place. The third prong that the state has to show is that the probative value of the evidence of these other evidence, of the other offenses, the false reports, is not outweighed by prejudice. And this is the element that Mr. Sproles addressed with the court initially in his opening comments. And the state would respond this way. The probative value of these reports is extremely high. Obviously, they deal with the facts that Megan Boswell was actively covering up the disappearance and murder of her child. There were 2.5 months before law enforcement got involved. They show her state of mind. They show the guilty knowledge that she had about it. Now, obviously, a jury being told that she has given false information to law enforcement is not going to reflect well on her character. That is a given. But the two crimes themselves, the false reports and the felony murder, aggravated child abuse, aggravated child neglect, abuse of the courts, those crimes are not similar in nature in any way. So there is very low propensity, if they hear evidence that she has lied to the police, there's not a propensity to believe that just because someone lies to the police, they're going to go out and murder their child. There's just no, the two crimes are not similar in nature. So the state would argue that because of that, the probative value is not outweighed by the prejudice in this case. Finally, Judge, if I could, I'm going to pass up a copy of the case, which is State versus LaForce. It's a 2008 case, and I believe this is the case which is most similar to the situation the court's dealing with here today. And that was a case that the Court of Criminal Appeals held that where you had a common plan or scheme, which was basically a defendant who was trying to escape prosecution for the underlying crime, that could constitute a common scheme or plan. And the facts of that case are actually not as strong as the facts in this case. What happened in that case, the defendant was arrested and charged with prescription fraud. 2 weeks later, at a preliminary hearing, the defendant threatened a witness who had testified against him at the preliminary hearing. So as a result of that, the state charged coercion of a witness and retaliation for past acts. And despite the fact that you had a clear break in time with these offenses, the court held that the second set of offenses was clearly part of this plan on the part of the defendant to escape prosecution and being convicted of those initial charges for the prescription fraud. We've got a very similar situation here, but the facts in our case are even stronger because we don't have that break. As you heard from Agent Gratz, after the murder occurred, these false reports and these lies were being told almost instantaneously. So again, you've got all these false reports that are being made by the defendant, and they're for the sole purpose of trying to avoid the body being discovered, the crime being detected, and ultimately her being able to be prosecuted for the abuse and murder of her child. And again, she's been spreading this information almost from the get-go, so we don't have that break in time. Based on that, Judge, it's the state's argument here today that we have met the three prongs that are required under Rule 14 to keep all of these counts consolidated, and the state would ask that you deny the defense motion to sever counts 1 through 4.
You want to be heard?
Judge, General Harper argues that the probative value of this information is high. So is the prejudicial effect. And I would, Agent Gratz's testimony very clearly focused the court's evaluation here on that part of the three-pronged test. And I would urge the court, keep in mind what we're asking for here, Judge. We're not asking to suppress that evidence that Agent Gratz testified in either of the trials. All we're saying is that the false report charges should be severed and tried separately. And as I said early on, the question of whether what we're trying to avoid is a situation where the jury can say she's been found guilty of filing a false report in these counts, so therefore she has been guilty of the murder. So it doesn't mean they can't present that evidence in both trials. But the prejudicial problem there is the fact that she's being tried in one trial for those false reports as well. The jury, we believe, our assertion is that makes the prejudicial effect higher than the probative value of the evidence. And once again, we're not saying they can't present that evidence. We're saying there should be two trials.
For what?
So you're saying, you're agreeing that the evidence of the false reports is relevant to the murder. You're just saying that prejudice part of this.
That's our argument. And just to clarify even more, the evidence of the false reports is the state's evidence. So we're not saying they can't present that. We're just saying the false reports should be tried separately.
Anything else from the
we addressed the issue. We had submitted previously an order for an evaluation. I don't know if that's been scheduled. I know something, but I think we're getting close to some deadlines, so check on that. I believe yes, but I probably can't put my name on a copy of it. Judge, we'll figure that one out.
I don't know.
It's in the court file. Yes, okay.
I guess let me fast forward a little bit. Let's see. And I don't even think they came to a decision.
I think maybe, we had
This
discussed maybe doing a scheduling order. I know dates have been moved around, but yeah, I have been prepared to take a lot of it because it wasn't ready.
The parties kept coming to me and saying, well, this isn't back, this is not, we're not ready for this, like that's not all. Do we have everything back now when we got there?
No, we do not. What I would suggest, I think the next date we had was July, but what I would suggest is that we have two things. There's one piece of evidence that is in the process of being analyzed and completed. We're expecting that shortly. Then we have another piece of evidence that's in the very beginning process of being analyzed. So we have those two outstanding things that we have to provide for discovery. Other than that, I think we've completed all the other discovery. We also have a couple other motions out there, one regarding photographs. So we thought that maybe if we could take up those two, anything that would come out of the result of the results of the testing with two pieces of evidence, and maybe a motion regarding photographs in the period between now and July. Well, particularly, I don't know what Mr. Sproul's reaction will be when we get those two pieces of evidence analyzed and results will be. But I think we probably should have a motion date between now and July as a status, or maybe to hear motions.
Judge, I think that's a good idea. The motion, we both filed motions regarding these pictures. I think
okay.
Rather short amount of time, we could be prepared to argue that motion. I don't think it was the way until July.
We have selected the photographs that we think would be contested, and we also will have an amended supplemental motion or response, and hopefully also by that time we'll have these results back from the lab, and we can furnish those to Mr. Sproul, and he can determine what significance they have in his trial and his trial strategy.
And Judge, we do object to the photos they provide us, so we have different when we get here.
So, as far as trying to get a statement of it down, now I can't sit here and say, okay, discovery's going to be finished on such and such a day, and we'll have motions without that. We don't have all.
Can we skip this part, Bieber? Is there anything, anybody that's watched this whole thing, is there anything else pertinent besides the dates after this? That's it?
I guess the other thing would be we keep the one in July, but when we get the results, we'll come to the court and try to schedule a case, maybe hear those motions prior to July if necessary. But we're letting the court know there are two pieces of evidence that need to be supplied, and that we know we're going to have a contested motion regarding photographs.
It's also going to be
Yeah, I feel like we can move on because we've heard the guys, the TBI, guy speak already. But I will reference this article. I didn't want to, and then we're going to play the Chris Watts thing too before I get out of here. And thank you guys so much for coming through this afternoon. Appreciate all you guys. This is kind of an old story, so I didn't think there was going to be much attention, but it's cool. So this hearing, like I said previously, I don't want to have to like repeat over again in the middle of it. But it says 2 major items discussed were the questionnaire that will be presented to the jury pool for the upcoming trial and the motion to split Boswell's charges into 2 separate trials, which that's what we watched. And also the questionnaire will factor into the court's decision on the motion to move the trial out of Sullivan County. Sproles has previously stated that due to the widespread public opinion on the case in the county, finding an unbiased jury may require a change of venue. And we saw the TBI guy speak. Goodwin did not decide in court Thursday whether or not to split the charges into separate trials. Originally, the court was set to hear from both sides in July regarding the use of some pictures from the case as evidence in the trial. However, both Sproles and Stabas agreed that hearing could be held earlier. Goodwin scheduled that hearing for June 24th, 1:30 p.m. So that's what's happening June 24th. I know Cheeky was wondering about that. And then during that hearing, Goodwin said the court will also take up the matter on Boswell's mental health evaluation. Oh, that's interesting. That should be interesting. It's at 1:30 p.m. Let me add that because I didn't know it was at 1:30. 1:30 p.m. And Boswell's full trial is scheduled on September 26th. And there's also some date of July 28th. I don't know for what. He might have said it. I don't know. Now the video I was talking about, it's a little treat for people that haven't seen this, the little thing. I'll just put it here together. If you guys wouldn't mind hitting like too, I'd appreciate that. And what do I need to touch on real quick? Emma, thank you for becoming a member. So you became a member. I thought you were a member already. Vilma, thank you for becoming a member as well. Appreciate that. Gracias. And if you're a member of my channel, I just posted the craziest year of my life, 2010. It's a 30-minute video of me on stuff. It was just a crazy, really crazy story. Maureen, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you for the subscribers. Claudia, Sarah, Melanie, FNU, Claire, Bonnie, thank you for subscribing. The people that I can see, Brandon, Heather, Amy, Trudy.
She loves to give people kisses. She has a little baby shark puppet. Well, she loves to take baths. She's a happy baby. She hardly ever cries. She is. She giggles a lot. And I didn't want them to run away with her. And as soon as they thought anything was going on, they just kind of vanished. Yeah, my grandma's very supportive. She always is. It was a good day. She had a little pink.
Laughing beside you. After this video, I'll mention something that what I can say about that.
Bow in her hair and a little Puma tracksuit on. It was hot pink. Well, when they just kind of took off and wouldn't answer anybody, other than look for her. I don't really know. They've all been looking at leads and stuff like that. Yeah, they didn't know I had court today. She's just a very sweet baby. She's got, you know, the little dimples on her face.
Simon, what's up?
She's the cutest baby ever. When you see her.
You're reunited with her. What will be the first thing that you do?
Just hug her.
Thanks, Jazz, for the link.
I am. She loves those little applesauce pouches. I am. No, not at this moment.
Is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I've probably called the first day.
If your wife can see this, if she can watch this, what would you like to tell your wife and your kids?
Shanann, Bella, Celeste, if you're out there, just come back. Like, if somebody has her, just please bring her back. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
Is there anything that you'd like to say to the person or people that have her that you think they should hear from you?
They should just bring her back. They obviously know, like, what's going on and, like, you know, they need to bring her back home.
Right now, I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. If somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. If they're safe right now, they're gonna come back. My kids are my life. I mean, those smiles light up my life.
Do you miss her? Are you worried?
Of course I miss her, and like, I can't tell anything about the ongoing investigation, but they are. I'm sure you all have released an article about the car and stuff like that, so they have a pretty good idea of who has her. I mean, if they're watching, I just want them to bring her back.
Is there anything you'd like to say to them if they're watching?
I just want her back. Yeah, that's my child.
When they usually eat dinner, it was just like, I miss them. Like, I mean, I miss telling them, hey, you got to eat that or you're not going to get your dessert, you know, and just like, you're not going to get your snack after. I miss that. Like, I miss them, you know, cuddle up on their couches. They have like a Minnie Mouse couch and a Sophia couch that they cuddle up on and watch, you know, Bubble Guppies or something. It was, that's why last night was just horrible. I couldn't do it. I want everybody to just come home. Like, wherever they're at, come home. That's what I want.
Like, her favorite food is like sweet potatoes. She's really sweet. Favorite song is Baby Shark. Just like that kind of stuff. Her favorite food is sweet potatoes. She's allergic to carrots.
She's allergic to carrots?
She's very smart. Like, even she quit her own sippy cup at 6 months old. Or not a sippy cup, but she quit a bottle, I'm sorry. And went straight to a sippy cup. And like, I would leave her snacks on the floor, like in the little containers, and she'd open them up herself and like get one at a time. Like, she's just a very smart, very good baby. And I just want her back.
I just want them back.
That was it. This was back in the day. There was an old video I did putting together the just kind of back to back some of their verbiage. Looking back, asked about Maricela Botello. It's a case that I covered like in depth when I was a lot smaller. Really crazy case. I even had a company that reached out to me because they wanted to do a show or a movie or something like that, and they were reaching out to me for contacts. But when I reached out through somebody that knows the family of Maricela, the family just wasn't comfortable because it hasn't even gone to trial yet. Like, they're still trying to get this thing. I don't know what. Maricela Botello is a woman that traveled from, I believe, Seattle to Texas. And when she was there, I think like the last night, or I think it was the night before or something, she went out to a place called Deep Ellum to like party or like go to the bar or whatever. She met this guy named Charles. What's this guy's last name? Charles. Can't even think of the guy's last name right now. She met this guy named Charles, and they go back to his place after, and there's like video footage. You can see her being seen. Go back to his place. The only thing is, at his place, he doesn't live alone. He lives with two other women. Well, there was one woman named Lisa that's older, and they had relations together, but there was also another woman named Nina, and they were having like a throuple. They had some sort of weird trio relationship thing going on. She ends up being killed, Maricela Botello, that night, and they all go on the run. Now, there's different accounts of what happened. According to Charles, he said that they were sleeping, and he wakes up, and I don't remember if it was Lisa or Nina. One of them had a knife to Maricela's neck, started stabbing her or something. He runs out and leaves, which is just weird to me. Like, you never called 911 or nothing. This guy just goes on a run. The new account of what I heard, and this is from the woman's perspective, supposedly that they heard screaming. Oh, I mean, I don't want to be like disrespectful, but something about they were engaged. Charles and this woman were engaged, and there was some sort of asphyxiation going on, and she died accidentally, which I just don't believe this story. And that they disposed of the body, and they all went on the run. And so her body was found eventually, and the GPS tracking traced their cell phones, Nina and Lisa's, to the area where her body was found. They all get arrested. They were on the run for a while. They all get arrested. And these two ladies bond out. They have a lot of connections because Nina is a lawyer. The other one's a paralegal. And they know a lot of people. And they bonded out. I think it was like $500,000 each. They bonded out. And when they bonded out, then, let me see if I can pull it up. Then they go on the run. They had ankle bracelets. These ankle bracelets were broken off. See if I can pull up the article. The company that does the bracelet thing didn't report it for I don't know how many days. It seems like they had some connections. They knew the people. And so they didn't pay. They didn't report this for like several days from what I heard. Hold on a second. They went on the run and they apparently were caught in Cambodia. This is recently, okay? If you've never heard about this story, I have a playlist really in depth. I apparently I got a fake cease and desist from these ladies, like a long telling me that if I don't take the videos down, they're gonna like do legal threats and sue me and all kinds of stuff. I never took it down. And I went extensively into her background. And I know somebody that knows this person. I'm not going to say that gave me this woman's background. I just haven't done a video on it yet. But they were taken into custody in Cambodia after they fled while out on bond. This happened October 2020. The married couple was out on bond awaiting trial when the court documents reveal that they cut off the GPS ankle monitors on Christmas Day and they fled the state. The FBI assisted law enforcement in Cambodia while taking the couple into custody. No further details. So I spoke to somebody that has spoken with Lisa recently. Apparently they're in Cambodia and like they're in this extradition thing, but supposedly they're trying to fight extradition. I don't think there's like an actual treaty from what I hear. And so the person had spoken to Lisa via phone, and from what I hear, they're still over there and they're living it up life. They have cell phones. They're getting all kinds of food because they have money that they pay the guards. So they're having like Starbucks, I heard, pizza, like all the kind of, they're just chilling, having the time of their lives, these two ladies. And that's the last that I heard that I can say without causing issues. You know, she has like a cell phone with the app or Signal on it. It's like a encryption type of app. Let's see here real quick. The story was really, really nuts though. Extradition. So it says here, no. Cambodia extra. So that's where kind of the problem is. You know, the family wants justice. It's freaking horrible, the situation. Maricel is just an innocent person that got caught up in these trios, weird sexcapade, psychopaths. There's talks of like that these two ladies were into black magic, Santeria. I had literal pictures of the Santeria things that they were worshiping, and one of the most. I don't want to say one of the most, but it was a really extensive case that just didn't get attention. But I really deep dove and spoke to a lot of people. The other thing that I heard, the guy's still in jail. Yeah, he doesn't have the money to bond out like that. He's still in jail, Charles. He's still in jail. The two women are in Cambodia. I also heard that Lisa's son is supposedly not like in the hospital dying. This guy, he's like into drugs. And I guess they were using dirty needles, and he's in the hospital now. I think like on ICU, on like on a breathing machine. And the whole drug thing, I've always heard of that. I've known that's been a history with them. And yeah, and it's kind of, I thought about it too. I was thinking about it. It's kind of ironic that these people killed Maricel Botelho, you know, other people's kids, family, friends, and now Lisa's child, which I wouldn't wish death on anybody. Now he's dying on a deathbed in the ICU, you know? So, but yeah, I guess that's it, man. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I appreciate it, man. Please hit like on the way out. And please look into what they did in Cambodia. I hear they're chilling and partying it up. So, but yeah, hit like on the way out. I appreciate it, man.